A man in a black cloak is about to throw a custard pie in someone's face. Live on children's television. On the other side, a stuffed dinosaur called Posh Paws is watching kids trade a chopper bike for a stack of Beano annuals. Same Saturday morning, same country, same 3 TV channels, and no remote control. So if you wanted to switch between them, somebody had to physically get up and cross the room. This is Tiswas versus Swap Shop, the show that got away with murder on ITV against the show the BBC built specifically to stop it winning. Tiswas wasn't actually first, and it wasn't the anarchic legend we remember, not at first. It started in 1974 on ATV in the Midlands as an ordinary programme linking device, nothing like the chaos it would become. It didn't even go nationwide until 1979. For years, it was a regional secret. Depending where you lived in Britain, you might not have even known it existed.
It's really good.
Swap Shop landed on BBC One in October 1976, and it wasn't a coincidence. The BBC had watched Tiswas build a following in the Midlands and decided they needed their own 3-hour Saturday morning weapon to stop it spreading. So this wasn't 2 shows that happened to collide. Swap Shop was built to compete from day one.
Thank you very much indeed.
Tiswas was fronted by Chris Tarrant, joined by Sally James, who'd already been running her own Saturday morning show in London before the 2 networks merged their efforts. Alongside them, Bob Carroll-Gees and his puppet Spit the Dog, and John Gorman of The Scaffold. Somewhere in the background, a young comedian called Lenny Henry was cutting his teeth. Swap Shop had Noel Edmonds at the helm, already doing the Radio 1 breakfast show on top of this, with Keith Chegwin running the outdoor Swaporama segments, John Craven handling the news bit, and from 1978, Maggie Philbin joining the lineup. And somewhere in among all that toy swapping, Chegwin and Philbin actually fell for each other. They married in 1982. It didn't last, they divorced in 1993, but for a while, Swap Shop was quietly running its own real-life romance alongside the chopper bikes and Beano annuals. These programmes could not have been more different in spirit. Swap Shop was 3 hours of wholesome BBC values. Noel Edmonds played the kindly uncle, a bit unfashionable, endlessly patient, presiding over kids phoning in to trade a chopper bike for a stack of Beano annuals. Safe, structured. Some who watched both shows called it borderline soporific next to what was happening on ITV. Tiswas was the opposite in every way, and it leaned into the chaos on purpose. The image every clip compilation reaches for. The phantom flan flinger ambushing some poor guest with a custard pie to the face. Buckets of water, a literal cage where any adult brave enough to appear on the show could be held and drenched at will. Nobody has ever officially confirmed who was under the phantom flanflinger's hood. Nobody's ever proved it. There was a genuine cultural shorthand at the time. Saturday morning was the TV version of picking a football team, except the 2 sides were Blue Peter values versus a bucket of gunge to the face. Tiswas' guest list reads like a festival lineup, not a kids' show. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin turned up dressed as a flower, standing in a bucket. Jackie Chan.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob Geldof, Elvis Costello, Sting, The Clash, Motorhead. The numbers explain why. Around 56% of Tiswas' audience was over 18. Adults were watching this children's programme in huge numbers, which is exactly why it eventually spun off OTT, its explicitly adult late-night sequel. Tiswas didn't just entertain kids, it smuggled genuinely unpredictable television into a Saturday morning slot, and got away with it for years. By 1981, this rivalry had escaped the TV schedule entirely and become a proper cultural talking point. The Sun ran a feature asking readers outright, are you a Swap Shop SWAT or a Tiswas Terror? A national newspaper built an entire personality quiz around which Saturday morning kids show you preferred. That's how seriously people took this. And remember, no remote control for most of this show's run. Switching channels meant someone actually getting up and walking to the telly. Most households had a designated button presser. Usually, whichever sibling was youngest and least able to argue about it. Both shows ran almost exactly in parallel. Tiswas from 1974 to 1982, Swap Shop from 1976 to 1982. When they wound down, the rivalry carried straight into a second generation. Tiswas gave way to the Saturday show, then the brilliant Number 73, which gave early screen time to a young Neil Buchanan and future award-winning director Andrea Arnold. On the BBC side, the format lived on through Saturday Superstore, then Going Live, then Live and Kicking, carrying Edmonds and Chegwin's format all the way into the 1990s. 2 shows, 1 time slot, a whole generation of British kids deciding week after week whether they were swappers or flanflinger fans. Neither show really won. They both shaped what Saturday morning television became for the next 20 years. And honestly, British telly's never quite recaptured that specific chaos since. Whether you were in Britain or anywhere else in the world discovering it on MTV, somehow we all ended up watching the same shows. Subscribe to Back to the Box and let's go back there together.